Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we are stepping into a world that, for a lot of us, really defined our childhoods.
Oh, for sure.
We've got Greek gods, we've got heroes with ADHD, and a whole camp full of teenagers with swords. We are talking about Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
Rick Riordan's masterpiece. It's honestly so impressive how he took, thousands of years of really dense mythology and just turned it into something that feels like a modern sitcom mixed with an action movie.
It's totally iconic, and right now we're sort of living in the quote-unquote golden age of Percy Jackson.
Theoretically.
Theoretically, yeah.
Right.
We finally have the big budget, live-action Disney Plus adaptation. It's shiny, the cast is super charming, and the internet is loud about it.
Loud is an understatement.
Yeah.
But amidst all that noise, there's this really fascinating, almost data-backed argument that's been gaining a lot of traction. And it's not just fans complaining. It's coming from, industry analysts and VFX artists, too. The argument is that despite all the money and effort thrown at this live-action show, we might be watching the story in the wrong medium entirely.
That is a bold claim, because usually live action is the goal, right? That's the finish line. You write a book, and if you make it big, you get the live action treatment.
Conventionally, yes.
Yeah.
But the mission of this deep dive is to really challenge that default setting. We've combed through production budgets, VFX breakdowns, storytelling structures, and we found 5 key dimensions that suggest animation isn't just a nice alternative for Percy Jackson. It might actually be the superior way to tell this story.
So we're asking if cartoons can do what a $100 million live action set can't.
We're asking if they can do it better.
All right, let's get into it. I want to start with the most obvious thing, just the look of the show. We're dealing with gods and monsters here.
The creative canvas. This is where the cracks in live action show up first. When you adapt high fantasy, specifically Greek mythology, your biggest enemy is physics.
Physics.
Reality, gravity, light. I mean, in the books, the descriptions are just wild. The gods aren't just people in cool outfits. They are 20-foot-tall titans who radiate light so bright it could burn your eyes out.
Right, Zeus is supposed to be terrifyingly huge.
Exactly. Now think about the logistics of doing that in live action. You have to film a human actor, scale them up digitally, and then try to composite them next to a normal-sized kid.
And it always looks a little off.
It does. It leads to technical problems like eyeline matching and lighting interaction.
Yeah.
Our brains are incredibly good at spotting when something's fake.
So even if you can't name it, you just feel it.
You feel it. It's at, that uncanny valley, but for physics, it creates a disconnect.
Yeah.
The source material we looked at calls it seamless integration. In live action, you're constantly pasting digital things onto a real background.
Yeah.
But in animation, the monster and the hero are made of the same stuff.
They're both ink and paint, or pixels.
Right. They share the same visual DNA. A 3-headed Hydra in an animated show doesn't look like a special effect. It looks like it belongs in that world. It works.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate here. We've seen Marvel movies. We've seen Avatar, the James Cameron one. We know CGI can look good. Why is Percy Jackson specifically so hard?
It comes down to the nature of the magic.
Yeah.
Percy's main power is water. He controls the ocean. He famously explodes toilets.
The toilet scene is a classic.
It is. But from a VFX standpoint, water is a nightmare. It refracts light. It has fluid dynamics. It's just really hard to make magic water in live action. It doesn't just look splashy. It lacks weight.
Right. Whereas in animation, I'm thinking about Avatar, The Last Airbender, the cartoon.
The gold standard. When Katara bends water in that show, it doesn't look like real water. It's stylized. It has lines of force. It looks heavy. You feel the power.
It's distinct. The water is almost a character itself.
That's the advantage of stylization. The notes also referenced a more recent show, Blue Eye Samurai, on Netflix.
Oh, that show is gorgeous, but very adult.
Very adult, but look at the technique. The sword fights push way beyond realistic physics. Characters move in ways that would break a real person's spine, but because it's animated, it just looks fluid and beautiful. Percy needs that.
He needs to jump 30 feet in the air and slash a minotaur without looking like a kid on a wire harness.
Exactly. And there was one tiny detail in the notes that I think perfectly sums this all up. It drove me crazy in the Disney Plus show.
Let me guess. The pen.
Riptide.
Yes. Percy has a pen that turns into a glowing bronze sword. It is the coolest prop. In the books, he's always uncapping it. Click, whoosh, sword. But in the show,
He almost always uncaps it off screen. Or the camera cuts away, then cuts back, and poof, he's just holding the sword.
it felt like they were hiding it.
They were hiding the budget. Animating that transformation, the bronze growing, the light hitting his hand, that costs thousands of dollars every single time.
And an animation.
It's a drawing. It costs the same to draw a pen as it does to draw a sword. You can show that magical transformation in every single fight. You don't have to budget for the cool factor.
That actually transitions us perfectly to the unsexy, boring reality of Hollywood money. Because the defense for the live-action show is always, well, they just need a bigger budget.
But here's the kicker. They had a massive budget. Reports suggest the Disney Plus series cost between $12 and $15 million per episode.
Wait, really? That is Game of Thrones money. That's Mandalorian money. If they have that much cash, why are we seeing them cut corners on the pen?
Because live action burns money on things you never see on screen. It's what the industry calls below-the-line costs.
Like what?
Unions, safety standards, child labor laws,
Yeah.
catering for a crew of 200 people, location permits. You want to film in a forest, you have to pay to transport everyone there, and if it rains, you stop filming, but you still pay everyone.
So you're burning $1 million just to stand in the woods.
Essentially. In animation, the pipeline is totally different. The vast majority of the budget goes to the artists, the animators, the voice actors. You aren't paying for rain delays. You're not paying for a horse to play a Pegasus.
You just draw the Pegasus.
And you can draw 1,000 of them. This is why the scale feels so different. In the live-action show, fans complained that the underworld looked empty. Or the Lotus Casino, which is supposed to be this infinite mind-bending trap.
It just looked like a hotel lobby.
Because they probably just rented a hotel lobby. They were limited by the physical set. In animation, an artist can paint an infinite spiraling casino. The scale is limited only by imagination, not the square footage of a soundstage in Vancouver.
There's one other cost we have to talk about, and it's a biological one. The ticking clock.
The aging problem.
The kid who plays Percy, Walker Scobell, he's great, but humans have this annoying habit of growing up.
Especially teenage boys. It happens so fast. The Percy Jackson books cover a timeline of about 4 years, from age 12 to 16.
But it takes way longer than 4 years to film 5 seasons of TV.
Correct. If you're lucky, you get a season every 18 months. By the time they film the final book, these kids are going to be in their early 20s.
We're gonna have a bearded Percy Jackson playing Capture the Flag.
Or, the writers have to rush, they have to condense the timeline, skip quests, and literally race against puberty. That puts so much pressure on the production.
And animation just solves that.
Instantly. Bart Simpson has been 10 years old for 35 years.
That's a really good point. You can pause production for a year to get the script right, and Percy doesn't age a day.
It offers stability. It means you can actually adapt the sequel series, Heroes of Olympus. In live action, adapting the full Riord Anverse is basically impossible with the same cast. In animation, you can keep them around for a decade.
Okay, let's talk about the story itself. We've covered the visuals and the money, but does the medium change the actual vibe of the story? Because Percy Jackson has a very specific tone.
It does. It's this blend of, snarky Gen Z humor and genuinely grim, dark mythology. And balancing those two in live action is incredibly hard.
Why is it harder?
Let's look at the violence. In the books, Percy cuts off Medusa's head. He stabs monsters that dissolve into dust. There are some pretty gruesome deaths.
But it's a Disney show.
Right. If you show a realistic, high-definition severed head on Disney Plus Gaudi, you get an R rating. Parents freak out. So the live-action show has to sanitize it, they cut away, or the monsters just evaporate instantly.
But cartoons get away with murder all the time.
Stylized violence.
Yeah.
Look at a show like Gravity Falls or Amphibia. Those are Disney cartoons, but they have moments of genuine body horror and creepiness. Because it's drawn, it creates a layer of abstraction. A monster melting into goo is cool, not traumatizing.
So animation would actually let them be more faithful to the scary parts of the books.
Ironically, yes. It lets you keep the edge without losing the family rating. And then there's the humor. Percy's narration is all internal. He's sassy, he's sarcastic.
Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood.
And acting out internal sarcasm is tough. Often in live action, it just comes across as a kid standing there making a face. But animation gives you so many visual tools, exaggerated expressions, thought bubbles, you name it.
Like when anime characters get a giant sweat drop.
Maybe not that extreme, but yeah, you can lean into the comedy. The notes also point out that live-action pacing often feels rushed because they're trying to get from one big set piece to the next to save money. Animation lets you linger.
You can just have them hang out at Camp Half-Blood.
Exactly, without a producer checking his watch because the sun is going down.
I want to touch on something for the superfans, the people who have read the books a dozen times, the purists.
The fidelity argument.
We have to talk about casting, and I want to be careful here because the current cast is really talented. But there was a lot of noise about how the actors didn't look like the characters. Annabeth isn't blonde, Percy doesn't have sea green eyes.
And look, in live action, you have to prioritize acting ability over a perfect physical match. That's the right call. You find the best actor for the part. But animation removes that compromise entirely.
You can have your cake and eat it too.
Exactly. You can cast the perfect voice actor, doesn't matter what they look like, and then draw the character to match the book description 100%. Percy can have those specific sea green eyes.
It seems superficial, but for fans, those visual markers are huge for immersion.
It anchors the nostalgia. When you read a book, you build a movie in your head. Animation lets the creator pull that image and put it on screen. Live action is always an interpretation.
What about the content that gets cut? The little things.
Oh, this is a big one for me. The books are full of these weird, surreal dream sequences. Percy has prophetic dreams constantly.
Oh man, the dreams with the voice from the pit. So creepy.
And almost entirely absent or simplified in the live action show. Why? Because filming a surreal, shifting dreamscape is expensive and hard. In animation, dream sequences are where artists get to flex. You can do wild, abstract visuals that add so much depth.
It feels like we're building a case that animation is just easier. But isn't there a risk? If you make it a cartoon, do you lose the adults? Is there still that stigma that animation is for kids?
That is the million-dollar fear. If we animate it, it becomes a Saturday morning cartoon. But I mean, look at the cultural landscape right now. That argument is dying.
You're thinking stuff like Arcane.
Arcane, Spider-Man,
Yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse, Invincible. We are seeing a massive shift where adults are watching animation in huge numbers because the storytelling is complex and the visuals are just stunning.
Arcane is a great example because that is a fantasy world that feels lived in and gritty.
And it swept the awards. It proved you can tell a serious emotional story with painted characters. Percy Jackson sits right on that line. It's a coming-of-age story. It's like Harry Potter meets the Dragon Prince.
And Avatar. The Last Airbender, the original, is still being watched by people in their 30s.
That is the legacy factor. Animation ages beautifully. Go back and watch a live-action show with CGI from 2005.
Oh, it's painful. The textures look like plastic.
It looks awful. But go watch Avatar from 2005. It still looks fantastic. The art style holds up. If you want Percy Jackson to be a franchise people watch 20 years from now, animation is the safer bet.
Plus, let's be real, the toys are better.
Laughs. From a business perspective, absolutely. Animated character designs translate perfectly to action figures, Funko Pops, t-shirts. It's a stronger brand identity.
So let's try to synthesize all of this. We've looked at the tech, the cash, the storytelling, and the legacy.
When you lay it all out, the live-action adaptation feels like it's constantly fighting against its own medium. It's fighting physics, it's fighting the budget, it's fighting the aging process of its actors.
And animation.
Animation leans into the story, it embraces the magic, it allows for the scale of the gods and the specific sass of the humor without breaking the bank. It removes the shackles.
It sounds like the Olympus-worthy version of this story is drawn, not filmed.
I think the evidence really supports that. The live-action show is a valiant effort, but an animated series could have been a masterpiece.
So here is the question we want to leave you with today. We've seen Spider-Verse change movies. We've seen Arcane change TV. If animation is proven to be the better vehicle for high fantasy, better visuals, better control, better longevity, why do we, as an audience, still treat live action as the upgrade? Why is that still the default for prestige?
Is it the studios or is it us? That's what we think it is.
Something to chew on while you wait for season 2. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
See you next time.
Stay curious, everyone.